There was one major issue that cropped up pretty quickly. I've worked so hard through all of that stress to now just have another baby and not be able to be involved in my business. I decided that I was going to have a termination. I even went to the clinic. I had my booking. I went in. I tried to be cold about it. Like, this is what has to be done. This is the only way I'm going to survive. So I went in and they sat me down at my appointment and started talking me through everything. And I had like a mental breakdown in the room. And she said to me, "You don't want to be here. Why are you here?" And it was fear. And she said to me, "Don't not have a child because of fear." The fact that I almost didn't have Tommy because I was terrified of losing the salon is a crazy thought now. You just can't give up. And the days are going to be long, but the years are short.
Hello and welcome back to another episode on the Beauty Industry Leaders podcast. I'm your host, Sammy Kennedy. Today I have an incredible guest who has travelled over an hour all the way from Alkimos to tell us about the Fitout from hell. This guest I met at the Wasaba launch night, which was really exciting because I kind of looked at you, Isla, and I was like, who is she? I need to get to know. And then within the first 5 minutes, I think there was a bit of a connection / trauma dump. And then we bonded over the realities of how hard it is to actually get through a fit out, having family challenges, trying to figure out who the hell you are in this industry, as well as just carry the weight of being a daughter, a sister, a wife, all the things, you know, we wear so many hats. And so today I'm really excited to introduce you to Isla Grace MacPherson. She is an incredible mother, a leader, super ADHD like me, so you don't know where this conversation is going to go, but I'm very excited to have you on. How are you feeling today?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm really excited. I feel like when we met, it was just random out of nowhere and I didn't see it coming, but this is really exciting for me. I'm looking forward to like getting into everything.
Just for context, when we were at the awards, you spilt your drink on the floor.
Yeah.
And then I took a video of you and I was like, do I post it? Do I not? And then that's how I slid into the DMs.
I feel like that's how we felt out each other's vibe. Like I was like, if I post it, is she going to be like, that's weird?
Are you going to lick the floor? Like,
yeah, like I would. We're at the wrong event, but I would.
So tell us about what really happened in the week leading up to this podcast episode. Because right now you look stunning. You're all put together, but off mic, you shared a bit of the reality of what happens.
Yes, things were a bit different. So this week has been crazy. So in the salon, everything has been good. Staff have been fine and clients have all been amazing. But then there's the behind the scenes, the real life. And this week, one of my babies is sick. So he essentially didn't go to daycare this week. Luckily, my partner, Sean, was home from work, so I could navigate that without having to cancel all of my clients and, you know, reschedule my whole week. And I was quite run down due to balancing that, so I ended up with a huge sty and I literally couldn't open my right eye. So I was terrified that Sunday was going to come and I'd be like, Sammy, we just need to swap seats because I can only be on camera on this side. It was so bad. So yeah, this week has been juggling the kids, carrying around an almost 2-year-old on my hip 24/7 because when he's sick, he just wants mum and there's nothing you can do about it. Just try to be there for him. And
I'm just imagining you holding this 2-year-old. You're like, yeah, I'll just do your brows. Trying to juggle it all. Like.
It's all the editing content. Like my kids know what eyebrows and lash lifts are at 1 and 3 years old because I'll be holding him and I'm like, yep, what do you think? Do you like my audio? Like I just have to pretend that it's fun and involve them and that's how we get it done. So
get them started young,
Yeah,
honestly.
Exactly. I'm like, one of you is going to work for me and take this business over, okay? Because I have no little girl to pass my empire on to, so.
Are they both boys?
Both boys.
Oh,
yeah, I've got
okay.
2 boys. So And I don't think a third one is in the picture. So not, dare I say, not now, that's for sure.
After this podcast episode.
Yeah.
I'm pregnant.
Yeah, I know. Can you imagine? You've got to get me back on because I didn't mean what I said. Yes.
Oh, honestly, I feel your pain. So for anyone who doesn't know you, how would you describe yourself outside of your business?
Outside of my business, I am loud and bubbly. I like to be the one always hosting and always making everybody feel like welcome. So other than trying to like always plan things with other people's kids so that the kids have got those relationships, I'm just a mum with mum friends and a partner who works away. I would describe myself as a busy, loud, bubbly mum who has a business.
So is all the hobby and interest time taken up by the business, or do you have time to do things outside
Yeah, it's funny.
of that?
Me and my partner always laugh about this because he's like, oh, babe, you should get a hobby for you. I'm like, I have one. It's running my business. Like, that's the hobby because I genuinely enjoy it and love it. And it is a creative outlet, which I think I'm lucky that it's a creative job. It is my hobby. Other than the kids and the business and a little bit of reformer Pilates sprinkled in there here and there, that pretty much sums me up.
I love it. I think that when you're running a business, it is very challenging to find spare time, especially when you're obsessed with what you do, because you don't just switch off at 5 p.m. and go, you know what, that's me done for the day. You'll suddenly be relaxing, or you'll be having dinner and you're taking time away from your phone, or you're in the shower and that thought pops in and now you're like, I got to do this now.
Oh my gosh. The intrusive thoughts, like I have an intrusive thoughts like notes file so that I can just be like, hey, Sari, add to intrusive thoughts this. Otherwise it will stay in my brain. Like I have to say it to get rid of it. But yeah, I think because I do love it, or when it is your business and you're so involved, even if there are other things that interest you, that's the main interest or the main goal. So it's hard to try and make time for other things leisurely when I genuinely want to be doing my business or something around that.
Absolutely. So take me back to when you were younger. Were you someone who fit in with everyone at school? Did you enjoy doing school, or were you like, stuff this, I'm leaving and doing beauty?
Yeah, I definitely went through the stuff this, I'm leaving moment. I think I was in year 10 and I got as far as bringing my parents down into the chaplain's office, and I was like, this is my plan and this is what I'm doing and I'm 14 and this is how my life's going to go. And they were like, look, that's not going to happen. My parents are both quite like old school and were like, you know, we want you to go to university and do X, Y, Z. And I think they would have supported me in anything, but they were like, beauty therapists don't make any money. If you want a future, beauty therapy isn't going to go there. So that was the aspect of wanting to leave school. And as far as fitting in, I went up and down throughout my whole schooling experience where I fit in and then I was too much and I was bullied for that. And then I fit in again. So that was a big part of wanting to leave at one point, just having no friends and feeling like a real outsider. I got really bullied about my appearance. Like I remember cutting my eyelashes with scissors, trimming my lashes because I got bullied for having really long eyelashes. And I was so embarrassed before I went to a party, I cut them. Insane. Just the things that now my clients pay for, everyone pays for.
I would love long lashes.
Love long lashes.
Give me a lash lift. Give
But
me lash extensions.
Yeah,
like those girls that bullied you are now wearing eyelash extensions.
I know. They're like now my clients. It's crazy. But yeah, I think I didn't fit in for a lot of reasons, and appearance and being a really big personality seemed to be a challenge in high school.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I feel that as well. Even in today's world, like people who are really bubbly, they're confident, they have this personality where people are actually drawn to it because you're good energy.
Yeah.
There's an element where some people are really triggered by that.
Yeah.
And they want to drag everyone else down with how miserable they are.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, that can sometimes, I guess, impact us as business owners because we're scared to put our face out there. And I know that that's something that you've started doing a lot more of.
Yeah.
Do you think those early days getting bullied did impact how you actually showed up as a business owner in your marketing?
Yeah, I think they did, but at an interesting time. When I first started the business, I was so confident and excited. I had like 300 followers, but I was talking like I had 100,000. I was like, guys, this is what I'm doing this morning. This is my breakfast. Like I brought them along the road for everything. But when I had kids and I gained some weight and I didn't see what I was looking in the mirror, didn't look like who I thought I looked like, that is when those insecurities just poked their head back out, and all of a sudden I could not post a story of myself. Even if I pulled the camera up, I felt like, what am I even saying that anyone would care to hear? Or I need a filter on this video, but I don't want to be filtered all the time. So yeah, I really struggled, but it was when those insecurities started popping back up.
Totally. It's interesting you say that, because when I speak to women just generally about marketing and showcasing their personal brand, because that's a big thing, as we all know, there's always that fear of being rejected, being judged, putting yourself out there and not knowing how people will take it. But then the other side of that is, well, who gives a fuck? Like, those people are always going to think something negative. Yeah. But then on the other side of that, look at how many people connect with your story, appreciate your vulnerability, and just can respect that you're actually a human as well.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think as soon as I let that wall down and open things back up, like you said, I've been doing that a lot more lately. I really locked in at the end of last year and was like, okay, I'm back and I'm not getting scared of the camera again. And I feel like the people that are along for that journey and being supportive are more involved and more excited for you about your highs in the business as well, because they see that you're a real person. You might have kids. Like I have my 2 babies who are super young, and I've got clients who were with me before I even had them. So they've really seen my whole journey, and you feel like you know each other.
So when you were talking about your early days in your career, you worked for a couple of bosses, and obviously everyone has a story with that. And most of the time, they're not always the best ones, which is why you go out and start your business. What did it look like when you left school, went to beauty college, and then went out into the industry for the first time?
Yeah, it was at first a bit tricky to like get an opportunity in the first place, which I think is a big problem we have. You think you're going to finish beauty school and be like, here I am, hire me. And they're like, no, you need 2 years experience. But how do you get the 2 years experience if no one will hire you? So first job I had was just a day spa. I then found a position which was basically running a little beauty room inside a women's gym. And I worked there for a short period of time. It was fine, no support, no, this is how we do things, just you're qualified, off you go into the world. So God knows what I was doing to people's faces with facials and brows. Like, you know, you've just finished beauty college. You don't really know what you're doing. And when I worked for the last employer I ever worked for, that experience, I was there for 4 years. And I suppose at first I was just so excited to have the experience. But as time went on, the pressure of working for a boss who wasn't in the industry themselves and who was incredibly negative and pessimistic really took its toll on me. So I loved the job. I loved the clients. I was excited to be at work every day. I travelled from Ocean Reef to Midland on public transport every day for 4 years.
How long was that?
It used to take me 2 hours. I used to leave at 7 to start at 9. So it was a bus, then a train, then another train, and then like a 20-minute walk. But I loved my job so much. I was so passionate. I didn't care. Ultimately, it was the work environment that led me to leaving, not the actual work that I was doing. So
I think it's quite common in the beauty industry that a lot of business owners don't actually go out and seek that leadership training or support. And so a lot of the time these hires are very reactive. It's like, I'm so burnt out. I've got way too many bookings. I need to bring someone else on. I'll hire this person and then just expect them to sink or swim, you know? They take over the clients. They're meant to know how to do all the consultation, the treatments, and then they're expected to rebook and sell aftercare. And I think one of the biggest gaps is actually investing the time into having a good onboarding process. But
for
not
sure.
only that, it's actually the continual upskill and improvement and what are we doing and checking in and feedback and growth. Did you find throughout those first, 4, 5, 6 years of your career working for other bosses that you had any career progression or support?
In training, as far as devices and skincare, yes, she definitely heavily invested in me because she wasn't in the industry. I was the business model. I was the sole employee. So I was heavily invested in with trainers outside of her. But as far as leadership or being looked after in the role, in the position, absolutely nothing. A lot of my clients thought it was my business until I told them, no, this is the owner. I was, like you said, it was sink or swim. There was no leadership around actually being part of a team or what goals I could work towards, where I could become and move up in the business. It was just, these are your clients. This is how much you need to make an hour. And I felt such a responsibility for my clients because they were all coming to see just me that I just got on with it. But it wasn't a supportive environment.
And so looking back now, what made you realise that you can't stay in an environment like that?
COVID happened and honestly, the space being away from that negativity, I was really able to reflect and realise, wow, that's actually starting to get into my head and nestle its way in there. And I'm really positive and bubbly and just honestly happy to be on this planet. So being around someone who everything was a problem, everything was everybody else's fault, we were never looking for solutions. I realized pretty quickly when I wasn't around that every day that was unhealthy. And I had believed whilst working under this boss that I would never want my own business because she made it look so horrific. And then having some space from that, I thought maybe I could do this better. Maybe it's actually the mindset that is why this is so negative.
Yeah. And no one talks about how over time, even the most positive people in a negative environment will start to become miserable. And I found this in my own life. Like if you're around a lot of people who always complain, who always play the victim, it could even be a great day and you're like, wow, what a beautiful day. And they're like, oh, it's too hot. And then the clouds are out and it's like, it's too cold. Like there's just always something that they're complaining about. And those people, they never go anywhere.
Yeah, no, exactly.
And misery loves company. As you know, those miserable people, they end up either finding a bunch of other miserable people to work for them and it becomes an insanely toxic environment, or the other way around, which is what I saw when I was renting a room from another cosmetic tattoo artist back in my day. She had 6 staff leave her in 1 year and she kept blaming all the staff members. And I was like,
Crazy.
There's only one common denominator here.
Like, babe, do we think they're the problem? But they will never see. It's like real narcissism, I feel like, lives with that. And it was even clients started to notice and the energy shift was crazy. And people would say to me that they felt uncomfortable having their appointment checked out by her. They wouldn't even want to pay her on reception because that negative energy, without anything negative even being said, could be felt in that space. So it was overwhelming.
Totally.
Yeah.
And what were those fears like going out and thinking about even starting for yourself? Because tell me that story about the transition from working for that former boss to then going, hey, I'm going to start out on my own. And what did you actually have to start with? Yeah,
it was very minimal. So essentially COVID happened and if you were in WA, everything shut. One day it was on the news, I think it was on Sunrise, and they just said beauty salons are closed indefinitely. And it was like, we didn't know what that meant. So at the time I had just moved into my new house, our first home, and I just had a spare room and 3 or 4 months of nothing to do. So I started decorating it as a home salon, as a bit of a project. And then as that situation with the boss became more and more clear, I started to think like maybe I can't go back there. So I discussed with my partner, Sean, should I start my own business? And he had been begging me to start my own business forever. So he was telling me, yep, you've got this. I'll support us. Worst case scenario, it doesn't work. You'll just get a new job. So what are you scared of? So I had enough money to buy a wax pot, a set of like brow code dyes and like a developer. And I really think that was it. I don't even think I had a lash lift kit. I think I started off with just brows the first couple weeks. And that was that. I made an Instagram page. I invited everyone to follow it. And I opened up a Timely calendar 7 days a week, like 12 hours a day.
No.
I was like, I'm here. If you want me.
Every new person ever in the beauty industry, like, I'm going to make myself so available and then feel heartbroken when no one's booking you.
Yeah. So I felt like at this point, I was like, if I can see one person like a day, it'll be fine. So when things inevitably opened up after COVID on June 6th, we all saw that huge boom in beauty because people were desperate to like give themselves that self-care again. So it was the perfect storm because I was this new person who was so keen to give this great experience and they were all people ready to receive it.
So this was also back home in Ocean Reef, right?
This was, we'd moved out of Ocean Reef in December of 2019.
Yep.
And January, it was March of 2020 when COVID shut us down. So I'd only been in my new home 3 months. So me and Sean essentially built our house. So that was the home salon. But I remember mentioning to you that I did do some clients at the Ocean Reef house. That was not so much a business. I actually used to have my childhood bedroom and my childhood bed and a dining chair that I'd just pull out from the table when my client got there. And they would lay on the corner of my bed and I would do little facials. And my friends would pay like $45 to come in and have a treatment at my salon bedroom. And I'll go the worst. I had my client and my long-term friend in yesterday and we were laughing about it because there was a time she came to that home salon bedroom and I applied wax all over her arms to do like a strip wax. She would come and get her arms waxed after her facial. And after applying all of the strip wax, it was then that I realised I didn't have any strips.
Oh, no.
I was like, we're out of stock of this item. And I had all this wax all over her arm and I had to solvent her whole arm to get all this wax off. So, yeah, it wasn't really a home salon. It was more of a bedroom experiment.
That is like, that's some dingy.
That is some low-level stuff. And she still comes to me.
Gonna start at the bottom. Yeah. If you didn't have me at this level, you don't deserve me here.
Exactly, that's it. So thank you, Lauren. Thank you, Lauren. She put that self-belief in me from the bedroom.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's unreal. And so when did you realise working at home wasn't going to necessarily serve you for where you wanted to be long-term in the industry?
Yeah, I actually became fully booked really quickly. So my business just took off. And
must have been that arm wax.
Yeah, it was. It was very good service. People love to laugh at their appointments, so I provide that aspect. So
we trauma bonded. Now we're besties.
Yeah, that's it. Besties forever. She's bound to me for life. Yeah, I was so busy at one point that I spoke to somebody in the industry. It was like more of like a coach sort of person that I looked up to. And I remember they said to me, you're fully booked and, you know, you're now making consistent income and that's great, but you don't have a business. You have a nice job that you've made for yourself because you are bound to that business 12 hours a day, 6 days a week. That's what I was doing to fit everybody in. And I had like 4 weeks ahead that I was booked out. So I really realized that I had reached capacity and that there was no way to grow more and that the only way I was ever going to move forward was to have a team around me. And for that, I knew I needed a space. So that was the natural next step in my mind. Like, obviously, I need a salon.
What was going through your mind at the time? Like, how am I going to afford this? What am I going to do? Where do I find the space? Like, run us through that whole journey.
Yeah. So when I decided this is what I want to do, I told my partner, you know, I'm so busy. I think I need a space. I think I need a team, and I'm going to start looking. So we went around and obviously viewed spaces. And because everybody has such a beautiful fit out, we see these fit outs everywhere that are just stunning. I automatically thought I obviously need an amazing fit out. So my Pinterest board was just pretty much what you see in my salon now. But at that time, it was a fantasy. And I thought, oh, 50K will do it. So I, of course, was like, that's going to be heaps of money for a 105 square metre shop that I ended up finding. 50 grand was mentally what I thought. So I was like, I don't have 50 grand. I'm going to get a personal loan. So I went for a personal loan and they laughed me out the door. They were like, absolutely not. They were like, no, we're not going to give you 50 grand. Sorry, to build a pink salon.
Did they say why? Did they give
There
you
was
feedback?
no, I essentially didn't have a business for long enough to even provide like credentials that they would need. So I'd been in business for less than a year as a sole trader. Prior to that, I'm pretty sure I brought in 35 grand the year before working full time for somebody else. So the numbers weren't looking good for the banks, I'm sure.
Yep.
So I managed to, well, not convinced, Sean offered to get a personal loan for me so that we could do the fit out. And that was that. He got the personal loan and then it became super real that I had taken 50 grand under his name and that I had to make it work. So once we found the space, it was perfect. New area, huge, at a decent price point with really good exposure, just getting off the freeway. And we leased it and I drew the fit out plan on the back of a serviette and was like, this is my dream. And I got it drafted up and here we are.
I actually remember I used to travel when I first moved to Perth all the way from, I live in Crawley, so I would go all the way up to where you were. And I remember when that had just opened because I remember seeing all the little faces.
Yeah.
And there was that pink.
Oh,
and I was
yeah.
like, who is this? And then only when we met, I was like, oh, that's you.
Yeah, literally. And that was my old logo. And yeah, it was, you would notice it driving past.
Yeah,
that was a good thing.
It would capture your attention.
It was a good eye-catching logo. It wasn't very clear about what the job was about. But yeah, it's a great spot because everybody driving past, you've just got a perfect view of us.
So the banks have rejected you. Sean's gone and taken this loan out. You've found the perfect space.
Yeah.
What happens when you get the keys to go into the space?
So we got the keys and went in and I started, once I had the floor plan from the draftsman, I got a tradie in, a plumber, I think was the first person to come through. And I said, this is where I want sinks. And he let me in on the secret that there's no plumbing in this building. And you're going to have to cut the concrete out of the floor, run plumbing, fill the concrete back in. And because there was a toilet, there was only a toilet. It was a concrete slab and a toilet. I just presumed we had plumbing. He was like, no. So that's going to be like 8 grand just to cut the floor and put the plumbing in. So the budget wasn't looking good after the first conversation that I had. Once we understood a bit better and we had the concrete cut, it was just quite a slow process. I had decided that I wasn't going to go ahead with professionals for anything that I could avoid. So my dad and my partner Sean became the builders of that project, and we would work, all of us work. So I would work with clients, my dad would work at his job, and we would meet there at the end of the day and we would work into the late hours of the evening. And then we would spend Saturday and Sunday there. And it was that on repeat from January until I think we opened start of May. So it was a long time.
So with this, did you find that the fit out took longer
Yes.
than you expected?
We should have spent the money on getting it professionally done. If I could turn back time, I would look at the gyprock and make that the priority, get the structure done professionally, because the painting and the accessorizing and the things that weren't so necessary that felt like such a big deal. Like,
they're important for you, but not important.
They're not important for the business. Nobody cared. Nobody noticed, but did I need to spend a couple grand on random light fixtures so it looked like Instagram worthy? But in my mind, I felt like I did need this space that was Instagram worthy, because I needed people to want to come and want to take a picture and want to post on their stories, look how cute this place is that I'm at. So it did feel like a priority to spend the money to make that happen. But if I could go back, I would do as much with professional trades as I could. That gyprocking would have been done in like 2 weeks, and it took us months.
I have a question about your lease, because you haven't purchased the property, have you?
No.
So with your lease and signing that, how many years did you have on it?
When I first signed it, 3.
Okay.
And I did the 3 out of pure fear. It was like, I'm going to do 3 years, because if this doesn't work out, then, now I have 10 years of 5 and 5 with the option, to release for another 5. But it was a lot of pressure doing a really expensive fit out. As you know, when you leave a property, they can make you tear it all down. In my heart, I was like, surely it makes more sense if they're going to release it that someone with a salon would see an already fit out building and want to jump in. So I justified it to myself like, it's fine. They're not going to make me tear it down. But yes, we're yet to see on that one.
So now that you've got your fit out has started, you've taken this lease out, what was some of the issues that started to arise throughout that process?
There was one major issue that cropped up pretty quickly. So I leased my building, and a short time after we started the actual fit out, I've had a surprise pregnancy. So I found out that I was expecting a little boy, and that was not on the cards for us. It was not on my bingo card for that year. I actually have been told by the doctors I've got polycystic ovaries, and I've been told that's going to be a long journey for you. You don't ovulate. You're going to have issues in that area. I didn't get a period, so it was like, whatever. That's how I didn't realize I was pregnant.
Whoa.
Because I don't get a period. So when I found out, it was like, oh.
How did you find out? If you don't get your period and there's
it was
vomiting,
so it was a strange thing, which I think is it was the universe being like, she needs to know now, like tell her now. So I would always have pregnancy tests in my pantry, because if I went to the doctors for a blood test or anything, they would always ask me, could you be pregnant? And because I didn't have a cycle, there was no way of knowing. So I think I had a doctor's appointment later that week. So I'd finished with clients for the day. It was about 8 p.m. I had my dinner and my laptop ready to go to just chill out and watch some TV. And I had grabbed a tin of soup because it was so late after clients that I didn't want to cook anything. And there was like a pregnancy test behind it. I thought, I better just take that so that later this week I don't have to worry about it. And yeah, I looked down and it was instantly, didn't have to wait the 2 minutes. It was like, pregnant. So I panicked, got in the car. I got to Coles like 8 minutes before it closed, bought like 3 boxes of those clear blue, the ones that tell you how far along you are. And I went home and I remember like trying to pee on all of them. And I just laid them out on the kitchen bench.
Definitely pregnant.
Definitely pregnant. Yeah, it was like 3 to 4 weeks pregnant, and there was like 10 of them. And I remember FaceTiming my best friend. I was like, do you think
these are
they're
real?
rare? Yeah, like, do you think I'm pregnant? And she was like, yes.
Isn't it funny how you almost gaslight yourself into thinking this is not real because you're just not ready for it?
Oh, no. Yeah, my brain was not processing. Like, I was just not making it across. So in classic me style, like, I don't hold anything inside. I called my mom, I called my dad, I called my sister, and I called my partner. And yeah.
In what order?
Sean first.
I
called Sean first. Yeah, I called Sean. He was on night shift, and he was like, I think he was just like, oh shit. And I was like, yeah, don't know what to do about that. So we just chat about it when you get home.
Did you have a rent-free period as well, or were you paying rent at this stage?
I think it was 3 months rent free.
Okay,
So it was a 3-month rent free period, which was like fine. It might have been 3 to 6. There was definitely a rent free period. So at this point that I found out, there was no part of me that was like, I can do this and have a baby. But Sean basically came home from work and we went out for dinner and he just said, I think we can do this. It's kind of how he had helped me start the business. He was like, we've got this. He's so chilled. He was like, we've got this. And then the wheels started turning on how am I going to make the business work? I've got to pivot.
What was going through your mind knowing that you've got to complete this fit out, you're going to have a baby, and you've just signed up to a lease and all these finances and overheads are going to have to get paid somehow?
Yeah, I don't know if it was delusional, like whatever was going on in my mind. The first thoughts were absolutely not. I can't do this. I had a panic attack when I called my friend and my mum. I was just hysterical. Like, I'm pregnant. What am I going to do?
How old were you at the time?
25.
Okay.
Yeah, it's 25. I was like, I've just leased this shop. And I had really reached a sense of self-belief with the business that I could do it. I was like, this is going to be successful. So it felt like it was all being taken away from me. And I actually had an interview already lined up the next morning for my first ever employee because I was planning on hiring staff for the business anyway. So I had to turn up to this interview, like compose myself.
I'm fine.
Yeah. I was like, hello, do you want to work for me? Like I turned up to that and I kind of knew when I was sitting there, I was like, she's hired. Whatever she says, she's hired and we're going to work on it because I need to hire someone like yesterday. I'm 2-3 months pregnant, like, or 3 weeks, like a month pregnant at this point. So yeah, I knew I was going to hire her if things went well and train her at the home salon. But instead of taking that at my leisure, it ramped everything up. It was, this fit out has to happen yesterday. I need to hire and train her like yesterday and we need to get moving in that shop. And the plan was to essentially, once I figured out how I was going to do it, was train her up for that whole rest of the pregnancy to essentially take on my clientele. It wasn't really to build her own clientele. It was like to replace me until I could be back and then focus on trying to build something for her.
And how much experience did she have?
She was completely fresh.
Oh.
Yeah, no experience, I know.
And also that expectation and pressure to be at your level, coming in green.
Yes, I think I had like an idea that it would be easier to mold someone into the way I wanted to do things without experience. And also you can't teach a personality, right? And I'd just come from this negative situation. She was so positive, so kind, so bubbly. I saw myself in her. She was just this beautiful young girl. I think she was 20 and I was excited about her and I could see how we could work together. So I felt like if I could adapt those skills and I felt like I had time. Again, I think I was a bit delusional about how everything was going to run. And I had no idea how to run a business. Like running a business without any qualifications, you don't know, and you just make the choice and hope for the best.
And so how did hoping for the best go for you?
Yeah, it went down like a lead balloon. It was not good.
A lead balloon?
Yeah, it was just, phew. So at first things were great. I will say it was very exciting when we opened the shop.
With like the rose-coloured glasses
It was. I feel like I got love bombed by an employee. Like she was every week. It was messages, how grateful she was, how happy and supported she felt. So it was really good. Thought, I'm killing this boss thing. I've got this. And clients were loving the new space, loving that we had that additional availability because there was both of us. So things all seemed really great, honestly, all the way up until I left the salon to go on my mat leave. I was 38 weeks and 5 days pregnant, so like a week out of giving birth if I went full term. And I finished work, and then the next day I got a message from that first employee saying, hey, are you free any point today to have a chat? And my heart just fell out my butt. I was like, no, oh no. And up to that point, no red flags, no signs. Everything was sunshine and rainbows. I had no idea she had any hesitations or fears about me leaving. But it took, one day, me being out of the salon, for her to reach out and request a meeting.
So what happened at that meeting?
Yeah, the meeting, I came in and we sat down to have the conversation. Straight away I knew, oh no, this is not good. And she explained to me that there was a bit of a job boom the year that everything reopened after COVID. I don't know if you remember, but it was like positions were available. People were offering really great rates for positions that they weren't normally. And someone she knew had mentioned that there was an opportunity. They felt like they could help facilitate that role for her. And it was as a personal assistant. So it was total different industry. And she told me that this position was available. It was, $35 an hour, weekdays, no late nights, no weekends. It was going to fit with her lifestyle better. She'd be able to spend more time with her partner and not have to miss out on events on the weekend and, all of the things that come with being in the beauty industry. And I was so pregnant, I just burst into tears.
Oh,
yeah,
no.
I just cried. I just sobbed. And she said, I'm sorry, I feel really bad and I do feel really guilty, but I just need to put myself first in this situation. And what do you say? What do you say? Of course you need to put yourself first, but have some sense of common decency that I've just trained you up for 9 months. You weren't, you weren't one of 4. It was and now
and she
I know.
would have known your situation too. It's not like you just, hey, I'm pregnant, I'm leaving. It's like, this is why you're coming on board.
It was she was intimately aware of everything, and especially at that point, I'm absolutely overshared with my team back then, the team of 1. So yeah, she knew my whole world was hinging on her staying. And at this point, we were at the end of October. We were fully booked until the 9th of January. It was like, there is no wiggle room here. So I essentially offered her, I accepted the bribe, I guess it would have felt like at the time. I said, I will get rid of your late nights and your Saturdays, and I will increase your wage to what they're offering. And I'll do that right now if you stay until we close for Christmas. Please just let me give birth to my baby and not spend the first 2-3 weeks of his life depressed. Just let me give birth. I'll get to Christmas. Then when we close for Christmas, I will have 2 weeks to hire someone, interview, whatever. And then in January, I can open up. My baby will be 6 weeks old or 8 weeks old. So I thought I could probably come back 2 days a week, have somebody new that I'm training. So she ended up agreeing to stay until December under those terms.
And what was going through your mind, stress levels? How was that impacting the pregnancy?
It was shocking. It was really tough. So I obviously left that meeting relieved that she said she would stay, but I had absolutely no guarantee. I felt the heaviest anxiety I've ever had in my life. I've never felt like I've truly wanted to bury my head in the sand and just not look back up before like that. So I think I went home and I was in a depressive daydream. I was just like, what just happened? What am I going to do? All I could think was it was Christmas time. And if we let our clients down now that I have built up to this point, they are going to have to find someone else because it's Christmas time, right? And then I'm going to be starting from scratch. So I need to pivot and do whatever I can to just keep the people that we have built up. So that level of stress was so bad. After a few days, I visited my gynecologist, I can't remember what they're called, my pregnancy doctor. Went and visited my pregnancy doctor, and she was like, you are so unwell and so stressed. We need to induce you. We need to get that baby out. So
oh, wow.
It was extreme extreme levels of stress. And she said, you're so close to having the baby now. Let's not leave this baby inside your body in this stressful state. And I think she knew as well, once the baby was out and I could have my child, that it would be able to pivot my attention and head to my new baby where it should have been the whole time. So, yeah.
And having that whole experience of high levels of stress, needing to get induced, did that actually have an impact on the health of your baby in the first 6 months?
Yeah. I mean, you can never say this happened because, but I have 2 kids now, so I can compare the experiences. And my first child had the most horrific colic and reflux and was just a miserable child, was never settled. For the first 6 months of his life, he screamed all day, every day. And then he would sleep for 4 hours, and then wake up and then scream until he'd pass out again. And that was the first 6 months of his life. And yeah, if you look into it, read up about it, speak to other mums, babies that have been in the womb under those high stress environments do tend to have more issues. My second was a dream. He didn't cry till he was 6 weeks old. He was just like,
living his best life.
Yeah, he was. And when I gave birth to him, it was a completely different experience. I had things to navigate in the business, but I was in a good place and the people I had around me were great people and I felt really supported by my team at that time.
Coming back to that Christmas period, the employee agreed to stay. How did it go after you came back? Because I know you looked at hiring a second staff member and that came with a whole new set of challenges with this former one, then having a bit of pushback.
Yeah, it got a bit confusing because the grey area was she obviously didn't want to stay in the position long term. So we established that I would ask her to stay till December. And I ended up letting her know that if she hadn't found a position by January, she could come back until she found a position for helping me out. I was so desperately didn't want things to end on bad terms. She was my first employee. I didn't want my name being sabotaged. I didn't want people thinking, what happened with that employee, you know?
The pressure.
The pressure.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to save face. Even though I wanted to say, I hate you for what you've done. I was like, yeah, cute. I bought her a Christmas present. We shared a bottle of champagne on our last day together at the salon. I tried to really still be like a leader for her.
Do you think you were trying to be a leader or do you think you were trying to be liked and a friend more so?
Oh, definitely now in hindsight, I was trying to be liked. I just didn't want anyone to say anything negative about me or my business. So, but at the time I thought this is what a leader does, just puts on the happy face and goes on.
Right.
So, yeah, I was like, just keep on going. So I hired the second person. She was wonderful and I brought her on, of course, in January, trained her up. So I was leaving the baby who was breastfeeding and miserable. So I could only leave for 3 hours at a time. So I would leave for 3 hours, come into the salon, do training, go home and breastfeed, and then drive back in and do 3 more hours. So that was fun. And the first employee started to get annoyed that when clients were being rebooked, they were being rebooked into the new employees column. And we had a meeting about it and I had to explain to her that you have told me you're leaving this position and you're just searching for a new job. So I'm replacing you with this person. Of course, when we rebook clients, we're going to put them in her column because that's how this arrangement is going to work.
It's a transition period, right?
Exactly. And she's, I've worked so hard to keep those clients. And I thought, okay, do you want to stay? What's the situation? And at this point, I had kept her on the rate and the conditions that I allowed her to stay for. So she was not profitable. She was costing me money a lot of the time. So I laid down the numbers for her and I said, this is what a day looks like for me. This is what you're costing me. I'm keeping you around because I'm trying to be appreciative of the fact that you didn't leave me high and dry. I ended up having to give her a deadline. I think it was like the 9th of February, you need to be out by. If you haven't found a new job by then, I have given you an opportunity. And she did blame me. She said, it was easy to get a position and she probably would have gotten that opportunity if she just put herself first and went for it. So that conversation ended and I thought we would just continue on with a bit more understanding. But I got a resignation at midnight that night, immediate, which was fine. It was the better way for things to go. But I really tried to hold on with dignity to that situation. And after everything, I got an email at midnight and then a request for my address to post the key because she didn't want to hand it in person. So it was so disappointing that after all of that, after literally being induced to have a baby, of course I never told her that. It wasn't her problem, wasn't her business. But I knew what I'd been through and there was still no relationship from that day that I got that email, nothing.
And so you've gone through this whole experience. You've had this employee kind of just wreak havoc on your life.
Yeah.
Did you get to a point where you thought, you know what, stuff this, I never want to hire again? Or were you still open-minded about, you know what, I believe in my business and what I'm achieving. It's just I haven't found the right person yet?
I think it's a mixture of those two, that belief that this person is out there because I was that person. You never expect someone to stay forever. Of course, people are going to evolve and move on. But I worked for my first employee for 4 years and I poured everything into that role and I loved it. And I thought there has to be 19-year-old Isla somewhere that just wants to work for me.
I'll give you a shot.
Yeah, come on. And I also knew that I was providing everything as an employee that I wished I had. The safe space, the kindness and openness, just being able to work in a job they loved without having so much pressure on them when they're starting, just actually wanting to provide a good environment for the clients and the staff. So I had belief that someone was out there, but I certainly got knocked down again and again, along that journey. When she left and then now it was me and this one full-timer, that experience ended because she got pregnant. So I think those feelings started to become more obvious to me that this is a female-led industry and usually you're hiring between the ages of 20 to 35 and they're probably going to, at some point, want to start a family of their own. So it felt like you're training up, you're doing all this work, then they get to the age they're going to go have kids, decide to never come back, and then you're kind of starting and repeating that process. So that challenge became obvious to me that wow, these are all women and everyone wants to have kids, of course. So
it's a real challenge though, because you have exactly what you're saying, investing so much time and energy into training up someone for them to come back even and then have another kid. There's this, I'm back, I'm gone, I'm back, I'm gone. And that kind of creates a bit of a problem because you're trying to rebook and then do you hire someone full time?
100%.
Then the younger. Yeah. If they're younger, then I'm not going to say this for everyone, but there's definitely an element of you're young, you're going out and partying, you want to go to Europe. So then there's almost that challenge of they're still starting out as their adult years, so they're not ready to take a career seriously. Yeah. But then on the other hand, if you're going for someone who's had 20, 30 years experience in the industry, there's almost the issue of they're not staying up to date. They don't want to learn social media.
Yes, totally. That's a big one.
They don't want to learn the new modalities or techniques or this is the way I've always done it. As an employer, what type of person are you looking for that is going to be someone who can grow with Isla Grace long term?
Personality is everything. I totally hire off personality. If you walk into the room and you make me feel good, then you're going to make our clients' experience feel good. So I'm definitely a personality type of person. But like you said, it's tricky. You've got young. Is it going to be too difficult with their lifestyle? Are they in the age where they're trying to start a family? Or are they at an age where I fear that maybe they're not going to take direction for me or want to shake their butt in a TikTok dance, like whatever the case may be.
I'm young and I still wouldn't want to do that.
Really? We shake our butts at Isla Grace, okay? If you're looking for a job, you need to be willing, okay? I mean, we're just silly and fun like that. Like all of our personalities are quite bubbly like that.
Yeah.
So I'm looking for someone that doesn't just want a job that we don't care, we just chuck the product on. We are so immersed in our client experience that it feels like I'm having the experience. I'm having the great day because I'm just genuinely loving this experience that we're having together. And I see that with my team where the day is just awesome. It's 3:00 and we're like, oh my gosh, it's 3:00. Look at this that I've done. So I really am looking for energy, and I think you can't top that. If you've got good skills, of course, we need the foundation of skills there, but
skills can be taught. That attitude, that personality, if someone is miserable and grumpy, like it's very hard to go, hey, you got to come into work and smile at clients. They just hate you even more.
Exactly. And I'm like, I want your clients not to feel like it's a performance. Like for me, it never is. When you walk in the door, I genuinely am excited to see you. I love doing your treatment. Every part of it for me is actually fun and enjoyable. And I think when you can feel that when you're the client and having that experience, you don't just go back somewhere because they did good brows. You go back because you like them.
It's literally the relationship. That is why I would drive 40 minutes to go get my lashes done.
Yeah.
Whether it was up where you are or whether it was out in the sticks. Like, it's funny because I have people around me, but I never really, I didn't see them on social media, so I didn't connect with their personality. I just saw their work. And B, like, being able to develop a relationship with someone, like I know they have the whole thing of like, don't take clients. And I'm like, you don't own a person. Like as much as it does upset you because you've invested so much time building a clientele, at the end of the day, I'm going to connect with you or I'm going to connect with your staff member. And if I have that relationship with them, like you've been seeing them for 5 years and they go somewhere else, like what do you expect? You know, it is, maybe they will stay, which is great. But at the end of the day, you're developing this relationship where you're sometimes opening up about things that you've never told anyone before.
Totally.
And so to just go, okay, they've moved on, I'm never going to talk to them again. Sometimes that's just not what people want. They want to keep that same person.
Yeah, 100%. And I think I see that now. I mean, I came from this salon in Midland. I think I started working there when I was 19 or 20. And now I'll be 30 in like 2 months, which is crazy. I have clients from that salon that come to me now that on their own, I never poached anyone in my life. They found me on social media, figured out I had a salon north of the river, and it still happens today. That women's gym that I worked in before that salon, I had a client come in the other day and she was a PT at that women's gym.
That's
found
wild.
me. Yeah. And she said, I've been following you this whole time, which is like 10 years. She'd been following me that whole time, and she finally got like I guess she decided to put herself first and was like, I'm going to get my lashes and brows done. Why don't I do that for myself? And she came in and it was amazing to see her. Instantly, it was like no time had passed, and I was excited that she was there. She was excited to be there because she's watched that story unfold on social media and seen me from 19 years old. So yeah, it's not that easy to just break up with your brow girl or your lash girl. You're like, I need you. You're like integrated into my life now.
Oh, totally.
Yeah.
When you look at the first pregnancy and the second pregnancy, where was your business at when you found out you were pregnant the second time around?
It was in a better place because I had an established business at this point.
And what does established look like? How many staff?
It was, I had 2 staff. I was bringing on a third. The main challenge finding out with the second one was the business was at a place where it was finally growing. I had 2 full-time employees and I was looking at bringing on a third. When I found out I was pregnant, the second employee I ever brought on had just found out she was pregnant within the same fortnight. So it was
Yay,
in a better, it was in a better place. So of course, and she was not planning on being a mum at that stage of her life either. So it wasn't something that was living in the back of my mind that, oh, maybe Olivia will have a child. Like, no. We used to laugh. I would bring Charlie in and she'd hold him and say, can you imagine me as a mum? Look at this. It's so funny because she just seemed too young and too wild and not in that place in her life. Now she's the best mum. Our kids hang out together and we have a relationship. But at that time, I thought I've just got to this point where I have two. I'm working 2 days a week and I'm about to bring on a third to maybe work a Thursday and a Saturday. So it was really disappointing to find out that I was pregnant because my first baby was only 11 and a half months old. My full-time employee had just found out she was pregnant and now here I am pregnant. It was not good in my mind.
Do you feel like it's almost hard to speak about because it's not something that women often speak about, but did you almost feel like there was this choice between, do I have the family and go in on that? Do I have the business? And then the guilt of missing out on the kids' lives, but then also the guilt of not investing the time into the team. Like, how did you navigate that?
Yeah. I thought I was at the point where I was only just going to be able to start integrating myself more into the business now that my baby was almost a year old. When I found out that I was pregnant with Tommy, that pressure to decide I'm either going to have another child or I've built all of this business, I've worked so hard through all of that stress to now just have another baby and not be able to be involved in my business. I thought I was going to lose everything I had built because here I was again about to have to hire someone to replace the other full-timer, replace myself again, the fear of would they leave me when I'm about to give birth? Am I going to even risk that this time around? So I definitely battled with what I would do. And I had decided after probably a week of being really down in the dumps about it, I decided that I was going to have a termination. So I even went to the clinic. I had my booking. I went in. I tried to be cold about it. Like, this is what has to be done. This is the only way I'm going to survive. So I went in and they sat me down at my appointment and started talking me through everything. And I had like a mental breakdown in the room. And she said to me, you don't want to be here. Why are you here? And it was fear. I just explained to her, I think I gave her my whole life story, the poor woman. I was like, I've just had a baby and I have a business and it's only just starting to recover from my last baby and that trauma. And I don't know how I'm going to do this. And she was amazing. And she said to me, don't not have a child because of fear. Have a child because you don't want a child now. You know, if it's just fear of what if this happens, what if this happens. She said, no matter what stage of your life you're at, once you have one, adding a second is always going to be scary. You'll think, oh, what if my first isn't in school yet? What if my first doesn't handle it? There's never going to be tick, 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 perfect time. But on the flip side, she had no idea what I was dealing with in reality. It's like, there are reasons.
It's just the kids. You know, you can add another one. You're like,
I was like, I don't know. It's pretty stressful out here. Like, there's a lot going on. So I left that appointment. I didn't do it. I left that appointment and got in the car and I was so confused about what to do next.
Yeah.
And ultimately, Sean and I discussed and decided that this time we knew what went wrong when that employee left and what all of that caused. So we knew that I had to have two. That was the plan. Let's make sure we have two staff so that if someone drops the ball or if someone's sick, my whole world doesn't implode, right?
Yeah.
So, because that was a big issue with when I was on leave for my first baby was if she was sick, we just had to shut the business. So it was pretty crazy. I couldn't go in and replace her. I was full-time breastfeeding. Baby was a week old. So I didn't want to be left with that problem.
You've literally had the most intense learning that you cannot rely on just having one employee.
Yeah, you can't.
And you can't rely on yourself either, because
Yeah.
if something happens to you,
Yeah.
then you lose all your clientele. Like having to build that system where if someone's sick, if something goes wrong,
Yeah.
you're not exposed.
Yeah, exactly. And I think when the pressure's on, and the financial pressure and the pressure of your clients and family and having children, now they are fully dependent on you. And things kind of pivoted from me being very dependent on Sean for our whole relationship to like, oh, am I going to be the breadwinner? Is that pressure going to be on me now? So all of that was really scary, to also be the one that had to carry the child, breastfeed the child, figure out the business. And you can have the most supportive partner in the world, but Sean had no idea what was actually going on inside the business. He was there to support me as a partner, but he couldn't help me or provide any relief or advice.
Hey, can you just go and do this client?
Yeah. Oh, I really thought about it. I was like, you could do eyebrows. You could do it. You're a chatty guy. You just need a good personality.
So looking back now with that entire experience of fit outs and employees and starting a family, if you could go back and do something differently, and I'm not saying like you regret anything that's happened, because it's helped you become the person that you are today.
Yeah.
And we're not going to discredit that. But if you could go back, or there was someone who was looking at starting a business or starting a family, would you say doing both at the same time is a good idea? Or would you go back and focus more on one, be present in that, and then do the other, or vice versa?
Yeah, it's a hard one, because I often hear people talking about that in the industry, saying things like, I wish I did more before I had the kids, or when they have kids, waiting until they're a little bit older and then they're in school and then they start their business then. So being in that awkward space in the middle where you are trying to do both at the same time, if it is at all possible, I would not recommend it. It is not for the faint-hearted. I think we all see the highs on social media, and as everyone does, I post all of the great things in my life. But the reality is, day to day, it is extremely challenging and difficult. And I have had to create a business now that operates without me being there 24/7. So if you have the opportunity to build that up before you have kids, or when they're already in school and they're a bit older, absolutely, that's the way to do it. However, if you find out that you're pregnant and you are potentially in the middle of a fit out, you can make it work. And the fact that I almost didn't have Tommy because I was terrified of losing the salon is a crazy thought now in hindsight. I think, wow, I was really in fear because of an experience, a trauma experience I had, not because of like my own core beliefs and how I thought the business was going to turn out. So if you are in that experience right now, you've got it. You just can't give up. And the days are going to be long, but the years are short.
So true.
Yeah.
Time will pass either way, right?
Time will pass either way. And you're either going to be here or here. Like, you just got to pick your poison, don't you?
Sean sounds like such an incredible partner.
Yeah.
And I don't think that you would get through that on your own.
No, he's a saint.
The amount of stuff that was going on.
Yeah.
And I think that's not to discredit you, but that amount of pressure and, the time trying to be across everything. Did you find that going through all of that put a lot of pressure on your relationship?
Yeah. Absolutely.
He's going to watch this back and be like, I love you, but my gosh, those were hard times.
He'll watch it back and he'll be like, yes, Sammy, yes, Sean did step up. Because honestly, he was amazing. I actually said to him last night, because I was reflecting on a lot of things knowing I was coming here today, I said, I don't think I let you know how much I appreciate you enough and how grateful I am of how amazing you actually are. He is such a helper, and even if he doesn't know how to do something, he is there. We were super blessed that he works for Rio Tinto, so they do 6 months of paternity leave, which should be normalised. He was able to take 6 months off fully paid to be there. if he didn't have that time off, I don't know how I would have survived it or navigated it. Or my only option would have been daycare at that age.
Yeah.
I was lucky that because I had his support and we had a really amazing village around us, my first baby didn't go into daycare until he was 14 months old. And I worked 2 days a week from when he was 3 months old. So I was working that whole time, but we just had people that were able to step in and be that parent for him on that day. Sean was that most of the time. If something needs fixing at the salon, Sean's done it. He's built it. He's painted it. He is watching my reel and letting me know if he thinks it's any good.
I get the spelling mistakes from Nick and it's like, I just spent like 3 hours creating this carousel. Can you just
And
not?
he's like, circle that one.
No, there's actually 3 people. There's Nick, my mum, and Paw, my cute little grandma.
Cute.
They all screenshot and send me, and I'm just like,
Don't you love that?
I'm just trying my best.
Yeah, literally. My dad has screenshotted and airbrushed client photos that I've put on before and then sent them back to me and been like, got rid of the lipstick on her teeth or got rid of the pimple.
Surprised he knows how to do that.
But no, my dad is obsessed with it. Like ChatGPT, like my texts with him are wild. It's like me in a Hogwarts uniform on a random Monday. I'm like, okay, whatever. So I get that from that end. But Sean is more the supporter. I had like a recent post that went really viral. It's like 36 million people seen it. And I got a lot of hate on it from people in other countries that don't do brows the way we do them here.
Oh, no.
And I had Sean on there being like, fuck the haters. I was like, perfect. So yeah, he is supportive and he doesn't get enough credit.
How important is it for you to choose not only the right partner to build a life with, but also for them to support you in building the business?
Yeah, if you don't have a partner that is willing to support you in the business, the relationship either won't work or the business won't work. Because having a supportive partner, I'm sure you've experienced, is just like a pivotal point in your business. You need it. You need someone that's going to say yes. If someone calls in sick and I'm just going to drop everything and go to the salon to do those clients so we don't have to let them down, or the kids are sick and he needs to call work and say, I can't fly up because my partner's business is hinging on her right now. You know, an employee's sick, she must be there. At what point do you pick the winner when it comes to having to put your kids first? You know, traditionally, if you're a stay-at-home mum, you're there anyway, so it's okay. And your husband really never has to negotiate their life around the kids when things go wrong. But Sean isn't in that situation. And yeah, you need someone that is willing to give up what they need sometimes. And sometimes it's their evenings, sometimes it's their Sundays, so you can film a podcast and they're at home with the kids living their best life, I'm sure.
You probably need this though.
Yeah,
you need some girl time on air.
Let me tell you. But I was in the car this morning, I was like, I will get a venti caramel frappuccino and I've got my music on. I was living life. When you say I drove an hour here, an hour of bliss.
Therapy.
It's like the further away this venue is, the better. I can drive and enjoy it. So I've had a good day.
So with Sean and the level of support he's given you and raising 2 young boys and also building the business, like you are a superwoman doing all of those things at once. I remember you spoke about how in those early days he got that loan out for you and he supported you in building your empire up. And now you're in this beautiful position where your business is doing well. You've got an incredible team. I remember when I met you, you had 5,000 followers and you've just hit 15,000.
Yeah.
Like you are blowing up.
Yeah.
You are having all these things starting to take off and it hasn't happened overnight. This has been like 8 to 10 years technically in the making.
Yeah.
At what stage do you think the tables will turn where Sean can go out and do his thing? Because I know you spoke about wanting to offer that for him.
Actually starting to evolve that way, which is really exciting. We've agreed. So we're getting married in October this year. So it's a big
who's
year.
your makeup artist?
I can't pronounce his name. He's Balinese. He's amazing.
What?
Yeah. So they really like to encourage you to use like Balinese vendors.
Oh, you getting married in Bali?
Yes.
Ooh.
Yes. I should have. That's an important point to why he's Balinese. So I'm getting married in Bali in Uluwatu in October. 30 in August. And right now, as you mentioned, the business is going through a really like transformative time. So we have agreed that the next couple months is really just focusing on me and all about me, just how I like it. And then towards the end of the year and after the wedding, we are going kind of full force into his new company, which is really exciting.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, he has to replace his income to a degree to leave his job.
100%.
So,
Especially when you're getting such high income. I think there's something to be said about that because beauty, you're not necessarily always making 2 to 3K a week. So you kind of start from humble beginnings and you don't know any different.
Yeah.
But when you come from corporate, FIFO, somewhere where you're making high income,
you can't just drop.
it's a lot more pressure.
Yeah. And I think with the kids now and like how things have evolved over the years, like Sean's passions have silently gone on in the background a little bit. He has always had a real interest of like property investing. And over the course of the last 2 years with my business growing, we've been able to purchase 2 investment properties. So that is his passion. So he has had some creative outlet as far as his passion goes, but he doesn't want to work as a driller away forever and he doesn't want to be away from his kids. And I think seeing the lifestyle I've been able to build where I work 3 days a week and 4 days a week, I'm with our babies. I put them to bed every night and I make them breakfast every morning. He wants that life. And now we know it's achievable if he builds a business and if he builds a team. And I think he's got the benefit of learning from all my mistakes.
Totally.
We know what we need to do. We're not hiring one person. You're hiring a team and you are going to delegate certain jobs for the team and there will be certain projects that are only Sean projects because he does this high-end stonework and he did our whole garden. He just completed a project in someone's garden. It's like an outdoor bar, fridge, outdoor kitchen area and it's all done in stone, so beautiful. Those high-end projects, the things that people see on social media, I've told him that's going to be all Sean. And then makes the money happen, brings in the weekly wages, that's going to be the jobs for your team. So he is going to go jump headfirst into that at the end of the year.
That's really exciting and so rewarding as well to know that he's taken a chance on you. Your business has got to that stage. Now you can kind of go the other way. For the person listening to this right now who is maybe working for themselves and they're not sure how to actually get to the stage that you're at where your business can run essentially without you in the day-to-day services. You're still required for the back-end operations. Is that correct?
Yeah.
What would you tell them that they need to focus on or do differently to build what you have today?
I would 100% start reducing how available you are to your clients when looking at bringing someone on. If I had never had Charlie and never felt pregnant, I would probably still be working. If I hadn't figured it out by now, I'd probably
7 days a week.
Yeah, I'd probably still be doing it, because why wouldn't I? There's nothing to stop you. And you do see it in the industry. Like I know people who are working 5-6 days a week on clients doing 6 a.m. starts, like crazy stuff that you see on people's social media. And that is almost impossible to escape because if you've ever worked in a client-based business, when someone's your client, it's very, very hard to like navigate them onto somebody else that you've trained or whatever. So I found that was the hardest thing, was to actually reduce my hours, and instead of having this full-time clientele, how do I shift that? So my number one priority would not be being available all the time to everyone. Once you're at your capacity, let's say you decide for your lifestyle and you've got these kids, it's going to work for you to work 3 days a week. Don't compromise on that. And if 3 days a week works for your lifestyle, then you are ready to hire someone. Don't wait until, what are we waiting for? if you're fully booked and you have this huge clientele and there's no room for growth, what are we waiting for? Bring someone on and reduce your availability to make room for them. And I think it was hard for me to let go of my full-time clientele because there are people that are going to leave and you've just got to accept. It's like the unfollows on Instagram. You're going to get 1,000 new followers, 300 of them are going to be like, not for me after a day. Who cares? They were never going to buy from you anyway. They were never going to be interested in what you were saying. Whereas with clients, you know them and you feel like you have this relationship and it's really sad. But if they don't want to go to somebody that you've trained and that you believe in, then there's only so much you can do. And unless you want to be a slave to the business for the rest of your life, the only way to pivot is to bring on a team.
Yeah, absolutely. And not everyone always wants a team either. I think some people they just enjoy having, I guess, some level of their own purpose, having that business, having some clientele and some cash flow coming through. But it's my prediction that within the next 5 to 10 years, those businesses that do the big commercial fit outs and have these, 30 to 80K a year leases, they will be in the absolute dead zone with 3 or less employees.
Yeah.
Because of the cost to maintain.
So
your fit out, if you're spending, let's say you spend 50 grand, I think that's.
We didn't.
How much did you end up spending?
We got a 50 grand loan.
Oh, yeah.
We spent.
We should have had that at the start.
Yeah, it's a bit of a tricky one. So we spent 50K was a loan. Then I was pouring everything the salon was making every single week into
so
it.
You just didn't even track it at that stage?
Yeah, roughly the initial fit out was like 95, I would say. And then we did a bunch of renovations last year and I spent like an extra 36 last year just on we built like a staff room. I put a storeroom in. It wasn't anything glamorous, but new flooring. The flooring was really cute, but all of that cost almost another 40 grand. So $130,000 plus all the stuff that we've not tracked. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's kind of scary as well because if you're only on a 3-year lease, for example,
you've spent
that amount of money, you're getting out on a loan. How long do you get to pay off that $50,000 loan?
I think I think it was the longest possible term. I think we were like, do you do 7-year terms? What's the option here? I think it was a 3-year term. And do you know what we ended up doing? Consolidating that personal loan into our mortgage.
Yeah.
Which was a great choice because there was so much growth in Perth.
Down.
Yeah. It was just crazy. When we took it out, it was whoever would give us money. Do you remember yes loans? I was trying anyone. They say we say yes to more people. I was like, hello, yes loans.
We don't say yes to you.
Yeah, they were like, not you. You're
you're liability.
Right down here. Yeah, exactly. I'd never had a credit card. We just moved into our house. I'd never had a loan. I didn't even have a car, So they were like, what credibility do you have that you're going to pay for this? So, yeah.
Totally. I actually just recently went for a credit card and I did it at a really good time because I knew up until that stage I probably wouldn't have had necessarily the cash flow to get a good credit card. I may have only got 5-6 grand. I've got 15 grand. But I strategically did it when my silver was worth 30K and I had a 38K month in business instead of a typical, 15 to 20. And I was like, oh, this is great.
You're perfect application.
But you almost do have to time it when you go for these things because in business, and the reason why I share this is because in business, sometimes you're going to be in a lot more favorable position to go for it then and there. Whereas if you just wait another month or you went the month before, it might not get you the same kind of result.
Totally.
And that's why you have to be across your numbers because if you know, I can strategically build this thing, buy this thing, spend off before the end of quarter,
100%.
You can save yourself so much.
Yeah, and that was what last year came in, the extra additions to the salon. They didn't have to be done, but I just wanted them. My salon wasn't polished the way I wanted it to be, and I found myself pulling back from sharing it online because it wasn't.
You didn't feel proud of it?
Yeah, it wasn't what I envisioned. When I did my fit out, there was no stylist. There was no Pinterest board even. It was me at night after clients scrolling and I was like, purchase, purchase, purchase.
There is so much pressure for women in the industry. And I've said this a lot on podcast episodes where you do have these fancy fit outs that are just not necessarily. So people have all these fit outs and there's so much pressure around making it look Instagrammable. Looking back now, how important is it for you to have the fancy fit out over the profitability and cash flow in those early stages? Like, would you still have gone and invested to make the fit out look really pretty, or would you have waited and then done it?
Yeah, I would have invested more mindfully in the fit out. I think I went gun ho. The space is 105 square meters, which is big. And I was like, we're going to have the biggest treatment rooms ever, and we're going to have pink floors, pink walls, a pink toilet seat, and I want to custom made this and, you know, just like extra. My treatment bed was like $2,500. Why? It's great now, but why did I buy a $2,500 treatment bed that I had to get a loan for? Like, that just doesn't make sense. They should have been the basic Alibaba black beauty beds, you know? So I would have still prioritized aesthetic because I do think it is important, and it is really difficult if you have somewhere, let's say that's around the corner from you, that is beautiful and aesthetic, you are going to look like the not so nice option, right? So for me, aesthetics would still be a priority, but just not at that scale. You do not need to be spending $100,000 on this fit out. It could have been 50% done, and maybe we only used the half of that space that was complete. I only had one employee and me anyway, so I could have just put a gyprock wall up and left half of it not done. So I think it is important, in my opinion, to have a nice fit out, but to the level that we see them, especially in Perth, absolutely not. We see crazy fit outs.
I think what scares me is not necessarily having a really fancy fit out, but it's how long are you making that fit out last with the lease? And that came to my attention with Wild West Bowling, because our fit out was $1.7 million.
Crazy.
And to not own the property
It's insane.
What happens, and this can happen, where people will go in and they purchase the property and then they decide to jack the rent up, and because you have invested all this money into a fit out, you're at their mercy.
Yeah.
And so when you look at what is really important to have in a good fit out, what are the priorities for you? If someone's going and investing in a fit out, what do you think is like the absolute non-negotiables that they need to be aware of, that they need to invest in?
I mean, the non-negotiables that I personally didn't realise was the
plumbing.
Plumbing was the first thing. But it was actually like kitting out the rooms with the product. So I thought all of the things, floor, mirrors, lighting, cabinets, all of that, you name it. And then it came to, if I'm going to have 4 people working, you know, right now there's 3 including me, and we're looking for our 4th. But we previously had 4 of us all working in there. So all of our treatment rooms were full. And to constantly have everybody having every single product, that is a lot of money. So I wasn't aware of the continuous orders. You might do a stock order that, you know, that's $2,000 every fortnight.
Oh my gosh, I think about this with makeup artists.
Yeah.
Think about how much one foundation costs, then having to have 10 to 15 shades, different brands, and then you've got 3 people working under you.
Crazy.
Those kits, like,
they're insane. I even think like there's one product, and this is where it gets funny when you see that it was trending, people judging the price of lash lifts and things. For example,
Korean lash
the Korean lash lift. So for example, we charge $170 for a Korean lash lift.
Yeah.
That, in my opinion, is super reasonable because I know what goes into it, right?
And also the time. People don't understand the time, the cost of wages. I just want to add into all of this, even though it is a bit of a side quest. When you're working for yourself, you price your services and you feel like whatever you're making, that's money.
Yeah.
When you take on a employee, or you start paying yourself as if you were working for someone else, and you look at those wages and the super, you very soon realize that you're not making that much money.
You're like, that ain't profit.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it took me a hot minute. I even like running a business without a business degree is no joke. Like tax I just thought I had money all of a sudden. When I started working for myself, I was like, oh, like I'll go to Gucci, I'll get this, I'll do that, because you don't know. And I racked up a $45,000 tax bill.
Oof.
When I did my first.
That is so real.
Yeah. My first conciliation was like, she was like, oh, you owe the ATO 45 grand. And I was like, excuse me, I don't have any money. So what do you mean? Because I had spent it all
in the handbag.
Yeah, literally. I'm like, what do you mean? Like,
I have to give up my lifestyle.
Yeah, it was like, what do you mean I'm rich now? I have money because I do clients. Like, so I very quickly realized when I got into the salon and I started having to put the money aside for super and for tax and being then, having GST, that was a new thing. I'd never even understood what GST was.
I have a question. Do you actively put away your annual leave and sick pay for employees, or have you been caught out with that?
No, I do it now because I have been caught out with that. Everything I do now is probably because I didn't do it and I realized how severely I messed up. So now every week I do a report and I have their income tax, their super, annual leave, sick leave, and then I put away emergency fund on top of that.
I'm so impressed with you.
Thank you.
Music to my ears.
I know. I'm like, my accountant, I had to start doing it. I remember my accountant was like, do we have another bank account? I'm like, no, why? For the business. Yeah, she was like, oh, we can't just have the one that we spend out of. Like, you've got to have some structure there. You can't just look at the figures and know that, because they're there, it'll be fine.
Same with stock ordering too. I had one client recently, we did profitable pricing, and she is making decent money.
Yeah.
But when you look at the issue, I'm looking at her operating expenses, I'm looking at her product costs, service time. When we actually worked out the services, they were profitable. Where she was not profitable in the actual P&L was doing these massive stock orders. And so a new product comes out, or we've met a new rep and there's this range, and just ordering so much stock that isn't necessarily also getting sold. And so you might have all this profit and then you've just gone and used that for stock.
Yeah.
And then you've got no safety buffer. You've got no money that, is actually in the bank account, and you're not selling the stock either. So it's not having an immediate ROI. That's another thing that, especially in skin, I feel like a lot of business owners have to kind of weigh up, how much stock am I buying, what's required in the agreement, and also how are we making sure that it actually moves and doesn't just sit there.
And it can add up really quickly. Like with skin, I've used O Cosmetics personally for 13 years, I think. And I've used it in my salon ever since I've had it. So I obviously watched your episode last week with Maria.
Oh, she's amazing.
So good. I was like, wonderful, I have to follow this. But skin adds up really quickly. You might look at your shelf and be like, that's 10 grand.
Yes.
I have $10,000 on my shelf, just sitting there.
I feel that way
cute.
about the podcast studio.
Yeah,
I'm
I
like,
bet you look
$5 grand,
dollar
$5 grand.
dollar signs. But it's true, and you look at it, and then there's also that, like you said, how much do I have? You have this feeling that you have to have it presented in shop front, right? So how much am I going to have presented? At what point are they low stock levels? How frequently am I ordering, so that I'm not just sitting there all the time with $10,000 on the shelf, because that's not how I want to live. So, yeah, we do a weekly stock order now. And we used to do it kind of when we felt we need to. Now we just do smaller orders more frequently, so that we're replenishing only what we need to and not just buying everything once a month.
Absolutely. What kind of game-changing strategies or systems have you implemented in your business to make it the success it is today?
Wow, game-changing strategies. I think having a real customer experience, I don't know, I'll call it, I suppose it is a strategy, that customer experience from start to finish. I felt for a long time like I couldn't explain that to my team. How do I tell them? It would just be more like how I am with my clients. And then I realized, no, we're going to have team meetings, and we're going to have to role play this, and we're going to do that embarrassing, I'm going to pretend I'm your client, and we're going to have that conversation. So implementing team structure and meetings weekly meetings, monthly meetings, KPIs that actually make sense and aren't just unattainable targets that make your clients feel sold to and your employees feel this crazy pressure. Changing that all really changed the game because clients could feel the connection more and felt that it was genuine and that their artist therapist wanted to be there. And then the girls were excited because their workplace was a fun place to be that had achievable, attainable targets that they could work towards if they wanted to.
I think that's really solid advice because
Thanks.
when you have one employee, you don't think like a CEO from the start. Not always. Some people do because they've got a background, they've got support, they've got a business coach, they've got something to go off. But if no one's ever showed you and you haven't worked for anyone else and you just got your certificate and started working for yourself,
totally.
There's no understanding of like, how do I run a team meeting? How often do I do it? You know, what should I be talking
What
about?
do I even say? For the longest time I wanted to run team meetings. I was so embarrassed. What am I going to say? Hey guys, it's just me and you today. Like, you know what happened because we were both there. Like, it was just felt so awkward and like not natural to me because I had never run a business before. I didn't understand what to say, what to do, how to do it. So it was a lot of figuring out. And I do think, like you said, if you've never had a business coach, they are amazing when it comes to things like that, how your business is actually running, because everybody might all be doing their job just fine. But like, I want my business to work like a well-oiled machine, whether I'm there or not. And that's my goal, ultimately.
Yeah, I think what you're building is really epic as well because you're at this stage now where you're not burnt out. You're not in the business 24/7. You've got an epic team supporting you. You've not sacrificed your work-life balance. I think there were days where you definitely did.
Totally.
But now it's just 2 days a week you're working.
2 on clients, and that's by choice. I love doing clients. I just can't see myself giving it up. And then Tuesdays are like my CEO Tuesday, payroll, content, editing, all of that good stuff.
And so now that you are leading a team, you have these CEO days, where do you find your time is really prioritized in moving the needle forward for the business?
Honestly, learning more about how to run it and like having a better understanding of what I should be doing, putting myself out there into more situations like this, for example, and realizing that a personal brand is what got me off the ground in the first place. And then I pulled back having the kids out of fear. And now that I've been ready to step back into that, the growth has been like phenomenal in a short period of time. I really locked in November. I decided this is the year. My kids are, you know, not older. I have a 1.5-year-old and a 3-year-old, but they're not newborns anymore. And that's like the trenches, right? So I'm like, I don't believe that anyone has a perfect work-life balance, but I never have the feeling going into the salon like, oh, I don't want to be here. I can't be bothered. I am like so pumped every day, and my team and my clients can feel that. And then it's the same with the kids because I'm having those salon days. I'm going home and I'm like, my babies, like when I get home from this, I'm just going to be obsessed with them and enjoy them more because I'm not overstimulated, like too deep in the business or the kids. It's really, my life is spread across. And I do think it's so important if you're someone with kids who's doing clients in your business. The biggest change for me was having a CEO day, having a business owner day where it's not just payroll and it's not sporadic, I'll go in and see what happens. It's in the calendar. It's time blocked. I'm going to do X, Y, and Z in this order within these timeframes. And super ADHD, brainy, like I have 50,000 tabs open and the girls laugh at me at work because I have got 50 post-it notes. I've got 3 phones, an iPad, and then the computer. And they're like,
Are you okay?
Yeah, like what's happening? I'm like, no, this on this phone and then you can do this on this phone. But on those CEO days, I have been able to sit there and actually move the needle because I've got a plan and I know what I'm doing. Spending time on learning my email marketing and having an actual strategy and plan there, maximizing my booking system. We have these unreal features on these systems that, what do we use? Just the link to book online. That's all I've done for the last 5 years. And now we realize we've got all of these tools that we can be using. So I'm really trying to look at the areas that have been hiding in the shadows.
You know what's wild is that, everyone seems to want more business growth and more success, but very few are actually willing to step away from clients and just solely work on growing the business.
Yeah.
And that became really apparent to me when I was speaking to a few really high-level people on this podcast, as well as also attending the awards nights and looking who goes up and are they seeing clients still.
Yes.
And a lot of them very limited, but they're definitely not on the tools Monday to Saturday or anything like that because they have to invest the time into hiring, training, supporting. Yeah. There's a lot that goes into it.
Yeah. And I think for a long time I really believed I would go in on a Friday and do my clients, try to get some afters, something decent, whilst I was doing clients back to back with no lunch break on a Friday and Saturday.
Lunch break is so real. I think that's where everyone develops eating disorders because we're working long hours, client comes in late, another one comes in early, you don't have the time.
Yeah.
It's just...
And there's that pressure of they turn up and you're halfway through the lunch break and you're like, I'm going to finish my sandwich, or is it awkward?
I'm just going to go hide.
Yeah, that's why we had to do that second renovation and spend that money on the staff room because it was so unfair to the girls that they would sit at reception or in their treatment room and their clients would arrive and it was how uncomfortable for them to not have somewhere private that they could eat their lunch and not feel pressured that their clients sat there waiting.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So, yes, I agree. It's very easy to skip those lunch breaks and the people who are willing to work on the business have to step away from the clients to some degree.
Looking back at everything that you've experienced up until now, what would be one piece of advice that you would want to give the person listening to this podcast right now?
I think it's very standard advice, but it's powerful and it's true. It's
believe in yourself.
When it is tough, literally, when it is tough, if you seriously believe in your vision and you're like, I know I can be successful, I believe fully in my soul that if you just do not give up and you continue to work at it, it is inevitable that it will work if you don't give up. But how many people give up? The road just never ended and it's the end was just there and they gave up right here because they'd gone for years and years and it was so tough and they had so many challenges. And it's the breakthrough is just at the edge of where most people stop. So I believe that fully. And whenever I'd have discussions, leasing the shop, anything, what if it doesn't work? I was like, what do you mean? What if it doesn't work? It just wasn't, it will work. Of course it will work because I want it to work.
And I'll make it work.
I'll make it work. And what else am I going to do? I'm fully invested in this. I'm living and breathing it. So it better bloody work. It has to. It's going to. So I think, you just cannot stop. If I can do it with a 1-year-old and a 3-year-old and absolutely no know-how when I got started.
And no money.
No money, no know-how, just a girl. I'm just a girl. Then you can do it. I used to look up to people, which is hard to, I think, confirm to yourself that I would have looked up to me 5-10 years ago. It's hard to recognize that now, but I would have. And I would have thought, oh, but did she have a helping hand, a handout? Did she have this?
You make all the excuses too.
All of the excuses for somebody else's success because it's hard to envision why can't I have that? I just hadn't made the conscious choice to have that and to do the actions that are aligned with the person that has that. And that's not doing clients 6 days a week, 12 hours a day. It's just not.
Well, I think there's been some really incredible ground covered across fit outs and family life
Yeah.
and all kinds of fuckery, to be honest.
Yes, I agree. We went rogue.
I've honestly loved interviewing you, and I'm so grateful for how vulnerable you've been and sharing like the real stuff behind the
Yeah,
scenes. Because
thank
I
you.
think in your situation, like you said to me before, if someone would have had this experience shared when you were going through that,
Yeah.
it would have just, I think, even helped you push through that little bit harder.
It would have been amazing. Just to hear someone say, and I will say, someone in the industry reached out to me when that first person left. I announced it on Instagram very nicely saying she's moving on to a new career path. If you want a chance to say goodbye, please send your messages. Like I really tried to do something nice. And she saw through that and reached out to me and gave me her experience and said, this is so hard. She did it whilst having kids, and just that message gave me heaps of strength. So having a discussion like this that I could actually listen to and say, yes, that's what I'm going through.
And I did it.
Yeah.
I'm on the other end now.
Yeah,
it can
so
work out.
It can work out.
Yeah.
It does work out. And I'm also still very much in like those transformative days, you know, where the business is really changing and the kids are really changing. And I'm sure in a year and a half, I'll have figured a bunch more things out that I didn't know now. I'll be laughing at myself now.
If someone wants to message you because they've really resonated with your story or they need just someone to talk through the crazy times in business, where's the best place to reach out?
Instagram, baby. Message us on Instagram. If I go through all the DMs, I actually love that. So if you send me a DM to my personal or my business Instagram, I will reply. If you are going through this, I would love to chat because you are not alone. And sometimes it is just that quick, like, you know, conversation that can really change how you feel. So anything beauty related, hit me in the DMs. I'm here for it.
We'll link your Instagram accounts in the
Yes, thank
show
you.
notes. Before we wrap up, is there anything else you want to add?
Not really. I suppose I'm excited for like what's up and coming in the business and all of like the change and where that's going to take us in the near future, moving, which I think is also important, like pivoting into education and positioning yourself more as a leader rather than just Isla who works in her salon is really important. So that's my focus going forward, trying to really embody that leader that I want to be.
Well, watch this space.
Yes,
You've got
thank you for
plenty of
having me.
advice to share, I'm sure.
Yes, I do. But no, I've loved being here. It's been really, really great for me. And it's definitely a big bucket list tick. So I'm excited.
Thank you so much for coming on. And if you've been listening to this episode, thank you so much for your time today. We will catch you next week. Bye.
Bye.